Today I'm here to talk to Beau Eckstein about a recent development. He wrote a book and it's live. Welcome, Beau.
Thank you.
So what made you write a book?
I always wanted to write a book. Luckily, I have a great writer that I work with that can kind of take the ideas and help me put it onto paper. But really, the premise of the book is everyone needs to own a small business, even if it's a side hustle. We were just actually talking about that before we went live here, Bill. And look, the tax code wasn't written for W-2 employees. The tax code is written for people that have small businesses. Even if you're content at your job and you're doing well, you should really start some kind of side hustle. And maybe that actually takes and replaces that W-2. But if you start understanding the advantages of small business ownership, I truly believe everyone should own some sort of small business, whether it's vending, whether it's, a lawn care business. There's something out there for everybody. What's going on in the economy right now, I think it's a great time to have a backup plan as well. So you're not dependent on getting that paycheck.
Yeah, so I think you kind of touch on that, and that kind of gets to my next question, which is, why is now the time for people to escape their W-2 job?
Well, look, people are getting displaced every day because of AI now. I mean, I have calls every day, and now it's common to get, I got fired, I got laid off. Look, and I talked to a guy who was like in his late 50s, and he's like, no, then nobody wants to hire me because maybe it's my age. He didn't know, but probably his age, right? So you can't get fired from your own business, right? You got to be pretty bad if you do. So create legacy for your family, for your children, for your spouse. And the only way you're going to do that, and I look at people's financials and I see people earning $400,000 or $500,000 a year and they don't have much in savings. They might have a 401k, which is great, but you can't tap into it till you're in your 60s. So you need a backup plan. And, if you're making $400,000 or $500,000 and you only have 50 grand liquid, there's a problem. And the problem is you don't have a side business. You don't have a business that's giving you better tax write-offs and building more cash flow so you can then reinvest into long-term assets. So that's really the bottom line. Like, why I was inspired to write the book is because I truly believe everybody needs to own a business, bottom line.
All right. So what myths do people believe about owning a business?
People often think like, well, I need to own a brick and mortar location. There's a lot of home-based business models you can operate. A lot of the franchise models we work with are home-based business models. You might have a van and 2 technicians or 3 technicians. It's some sort of home service or B2B business. So you do not need a brick and mortar to own some sort of business. It could be based in your home office where you run the whole business. It could be a business where you don't need to be in a physical location, right? And so some people think, well, I don't want to be stuck. I want to have that laptop lifestyle. Well, there's business for everyone.
Can you explain the wealth triangle that you talked about?
Yeah, I call it the triangle method. And the triangle method is tax strategy, operating business, and then take that cash flow and buy real estate. It's really like what we should do. Where I went wrong in the beginning, I thought, I can get cash flow from owning these rental properties. Well, you can, but you need a lot of doors and you need lots of money for down payments. And you're not going to start seeing cash flow, especially with today's rate environment and today's price environment. So if you want to kind of reverse engineer that, what I should have done, if I could tell myself this 15 or 20 years ago, is own an operating business that spits off enough cash flow that I put into real estate for the tax write-offs and for the long-term cash flow and the long-term appreciation.
What's the first step to get unstuck from a job?
I think you got to commit. You have to commit to doing something. You have to raise your hand in public and commit. It's a proven, it's evidence-based that if people commit, so get in front of a room of like-minded people, raise your hand to commit to taking action and getting into some sort of business or starting something from scratch. or invest in a proven model like a franchise, but just commit and start moving towards that goal and set a timeline for when you're going to do that. Is that 6 months from now? Is that 3 months from now? Is that a year from now? And what do you need to do to accomplish that? Do you need to put away 20 or 30 grand so you can get an SBA loan and buy a business? Whatever that is, or get a coach, go to bookwithbeau.com. We'll sit down with you and tell you about our cohort that we're starting. And maybe you can join a future one, where we're going to take people through and keep them committed, and ultimately they will invest into a business.
How risky is business ownership really?
I mean, if you stay consistent and you get into the right business, the risk levels really drop. I mean, is there any risk? Of course, there's risk in anything you do, but you eliminate the majority of the risk if you get into the right business, you're well capitalized, and you are committed and realize that this business is going to take work. It's not going to just run itself.
What are semi-absentee models and why are they popular?
A lot of people are like, look, I don't want to keep at corporate anymore. I make a great salary, but I need something that I can start making more money from so then I can eventually leave the job. Obviously, they can't spend all their time in this business, so they find something that's semi-absentee, meaning they can work on the business. They can have a manager. That manager runs the business the day-to-day, and they manage the manager. So that's very common to do in franchising or any type of business structure. So that's where you'd probably want to start, is something that could be run semi-absentee. Maybe it's an existing franchise or existing business. Perhaps it's a franchise startup, which is geared for semi-absentee ownership.
Okay. How did your personal journey influence the book?
Well, I think I've always owned businesses, real estate brokerages, a marina now, lending companies, other small business kind of consulting services, rental properties, house flipping business. Those are really kind of the main businesses in my life. And so I've always been doing entrepreneurship. So as I got more into SBA financing 8 years ago, and I started funding all these transactions for aspiring business owners and existing business owners, that really kind of sparked this full circle for me to say, like, look, you need to help other people get in the game. And that's what we do, right? Because we help people find and fund their ideal business. And so that's why I'm here today. And I continue to look for other business opportunities that I can invest into. So I think once you're an entrepreneur and you catch the bug, there's no going back. I'm unemployable at this stage of my life.
What 2 to 3 things should someone do today to start their journey?
Watch our YouTube channel, come to our events, and then when you're ready, join our cohort.
Awesome.
Hey guys, Beau here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.